To all that are watching the Ben Live, thank you so much for tuning in, and you most welcome. If you happen to be new here, kindly just feel at home and make sure you make this place your home by subscribing. If you've never subscribed, please make it a point to subscribe, and we shall be glad to have you as family and one of our prominent viewers of the Ben Live. My name is Gift Nakainga, your host, yes, and today it's a good day whereby we've been privileged to have one of the prominent pastors, abasajja ba Mukama, omu ku basajja ba Mukama ow'omwoyo, Pr Ndyanabo K Patrick, ate nga tugenda kuba twogera ku nsonga eza bulijjo, issues about life. Well, talking about issues concerning life, here we talk about so many things. We talk about health, we talk about beauty, we talk about wellness, lifestyle, we talk about career, we talk about profession, we talk about personalities and behavior, we do life experiences whereby people come up and share their stories. Yeah, you out there and you have a story. Ogamba nandyagadde ensi yonna emanye ku lugero luno. Well, this is the channel for you that you can come up and share your story with us. But today we want to just go into life experiences and what are those things that do happen around us in our lives. Our topic of discussion today would be about domestic violence. Yeah, but well, before we dig deep into that, let me just welcome my guest on board, Pr Ndyanabo K Patrick. Ate atubuzeko, then eventually I'll take you further of what we do have today. You're welcome, Pastor.
Thank you very much, Gift. I'm glad to be here today with you, and I'm glad to be part of the show.
Wow.
As we discuss the matter that concerns almost every person in society.
Yeah.
But people are quiet. That is domestic violence. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Pastor. Omuntu ayagala okumanya okwongera okutegeera. Who's Pastor Ndyanabo?
Yes, Pastor Ndyanabo is a simple servant of God. By God's grace, I am a married man, married to a woman known as Ruth Ndyanabo. That is my wife, and a father. I'm also privileged to know that I am a grandfather.
Wow.
I am a teacher. Professionally, I'm a counselor by profession. I have been also a servant of God in terms of pastoring churches and overseeing the ministry among the Full Gospel Church fraternity. Yes. So I'm glad to be here. But I'm born again. I should not forget that. I am born again.
That is the most important thing.
Mm.
Okay, well, that is Pastor Ndyanabo for you, and we don't have a lot of time here, so let us just start and kick into our topic of discussion tonight, whereby we want to talk about domestic violence. In particular, we've heard of domestic violence being rampant during the lockdown days. Everyone was coming out, you know, women are being domestically violated. Women, everyone is women. And then today we're coming up a question, aren't men being domestically violated? They're just the silent majorities that do not come out to speak. Women, we sound so loud that everyone can be like, oh, well, she's really abused, she's really violated. But we want to get to know from Pastor Ndyanabo, do we even have men that are domestically violated? Before we go into that, we would want to know, what is domestic violence? What are some of the things that cause the violence? What are some of the things that can put you and I at a risk of being domestically violated? And who is being domestically violated? I'll go to Pastor Ndyanabo to tell us, to start with, what is domestic violence?
Domestic violence. The way it sounds, it has domestic, which is family, kind of homely. And violence talks about something that violates either one's right, gets into one's way of peace, curtails one's progress, makes one hurt. Anything that causes one to feel they do not belong, or if they do belong, it's unfortunate that they do not have the peace of mind where they belong. Yeah. They feel they are violated. Their rights are trampled over. their voices are not heard. Sometimes domestic violence includes things that will suppress one's freedom to express themselves. Even when they are hurting, they will never tell anyone. Or if they did, there is someone who is actually benefiting out of it. There is always a perpetrator and a victim. So when we talk about domestic violence, we are speaking about people who are victims in their own homes, whether men or women. That's domestic violence.
So that answers that who was domestically violated, either a woman or a man. Or a man. Oh,
in this particular aspect now, we are talking about man and woman. But of course, people can also be domestically violated. And their children, they are not necessarily men. But within their own home, they are victims.
Oh, wow.
Yes, there is a violator and the violated. So that's usually what
two-way
happens.
traffic. So what we've been knowing earlier, we've been thinking that if you talk of domestic violence, it's only kukuba. Beating up someone, oba kumutusako bisago, kumwocha. We think of the physical, should I call, the physical violence. And also, we've also known that maybe domestic violence comes up when someone has a mental related illness or issue, but today we want to understand what are the most common causes of domestic violence. Musumba tugambi, it's now around home, family. Tetugenda genda ku mirimo wa we sticking to around the premises of home. So katulabe, what are some of those causes that lead to domestic violence?
Yeah, well, we can talk about so many for now, but at the same time, we need to, can we, if we can, gift to our viewers. I would like to talk about, before we talk about the causes, I would feel like it's important to also continue talking about the types. Then we shall see, because all of them are caused differently. Because they are violence, domestic violences that are actually targeting the emotional life of an individual. Domestic violences that are actually targeting or even inflicting pain upon one's psychological life. And there are others that are actually dealing, majority of those that we see are those that deal with the physical dimension of a human being. So the causes differ depending on the kind of violence. There are violences, that domestic violences that are actually suppressing voices, not to speak. But at times, we can say the causes depending on whichever, sometimes it's a personality issue. There are people who are enjoying, depending on the way they grew up, they enjoy the pain of others. Kind of, they are narcissists. They enjoy the pain of others. To them, when someone is in pain, they feel they are lifted up.
They feel good.
They feel good.
Yeah.
It's like they enjoy it.
It's a satisfaction to them.
It's a satisfaction in a way to such kind of a person. And yet there are others who actually suffer violence because of poverty. I don't want to forget this. Sometimes when there is lack, of resources, sometimes people do not want to take responsibility. For example, whether it's psychological, whether it is emotional, whether it is physical, sometimes lack of resources, which one could quickly narrow down that there is poverty of a certain kind. Then people get domestically violent. For example, someone would ask and say, well, I need sugar. Someone say, what do you mean? Why don't you work? There is no money for sugar. I need soap. And someone says, well, there is no soap. How did you use the last one? I brought a full bar. How did it go about? How did you are not, you are not actually economic. Did you eat it? So, and someone talks about, well, I need food. And someone says, did you buy it? It's what is the food? Why do you ask what you did not buy? So, majority of the time, even poverty brings it about. But also, we can also agree that selfishness in its nature, sometimes we are very, very selfish. We are selfish that we do not want to help people get where they should get. We are always wanting people to help us. We want to use people. There are people who are using others because of selfishness.
Yeah.
You use others and you don't want to be used, but you want to use. gw'otuma tebakutuma, gw'osaba tebakusaba, gw'obuuza gwe tebakubuuza, gwegamba you feel that you have kind of a right, but that is selfishness. So selfishness, poverty, personality development, all of these ones bring about, and the conditions, circumstances, as I said, the conditions people are living in can cause violence. There are people who are not used to living probably in a place where it is a small place, and they are used to live in a big, spacious place, and then when you come to a small space, it becomes hard to live with others. There are people who are good at living with you only if they came in the evening and they left in the morning. When they stay longer hours with you, you will always find frictions. So sometimes the conditions of life can also cause or become a seedbed for domestic violence.
Okay, Pastor, I would want to ask you, we've heard people and they're like me, growing up, first we behave like this. Chitulimu musai, tunyiga mangu. Like if I get pissed, I end up throwing up things. I end up like I become violent. Should we still believe that domestic, someone being so violent, it's genetic or it's hereditary? What should we call it?
I want to quickly submit that it's both hereditary and environmental. If I would choose to say hereditary, I talked about the personality development. There are people who are easily angered. Trigger their anger is very, very simple. It's very, very easy. And there are others who, because of the conditions which they are, me, I looked at even animals. You know, majority of the time we look at the animals and we begin to say those behaviors. If a dog is hungry, it will even fight the chicken around. A dog hungry will never allow the chicken to come close to that doorway, especially when they are serving lunch. It will chase everybody. When it's actually satisfied, it keeps calm and peaceful. So equally, human beings, when there is a degree of lack, a sense that I needed this but I don't have it. Sometimes it triggers the feelings in you to become aggressive. So that sense of aggression kind of tends to lead to domestic violence. So it is true that violence and domestic violence can be related to both hereditary traits and the environmental press, the conditions under which one is working. So when they feel that someone feels that I'm being resisted, I have had people argue and fight in traffic jam because the progress has been impeded. And you see someone does not even allow you to enter in the road. You see that aggression that comes between the drivers and the motorcyclists and the pedestrians. All of those ones show that when there is a condition that has come. I remember one time I wanted to enter into a main road and this lady was actually already on the main road. And I tried to ask if I could come in the road. And she said, no, you will not enter. She said in Uganda, tubinsane. I said, tubinsana sija kusobola mama mbadde nsaba nkole ki. So, but if the road was free and everybody is moving, nobody will have that aggression. So domestic violence is related to the environment. That is. But there are other people who have got temper tantrums that are easy to trigger.
Okay, well, Musumba byanyonyola ebyo, those are, we can categorize them into, we have what we call the predisposing factors, the perpetuating factors, the precipitating factors, things that contribute to you of having that kind of violence. It could be genetical, just like he said, it could be environmental, it could be financial, economical, it could be a psychosocial thing. So whatever it is, today we are like, why not tell our viewers that they can be able to deal with any kind of factor that is in position to cause them to become aggressive and end up being violent in one way or the other. And well, we strongly believe that domestic violence doesn't end on the physical, it goes deep into the mental state. It affects someone's mental state. So tukyagenda maaso, if you're watching us, do not forget to subscribe. You're watching the Ben Live, and it's very important for us to have you subscribe and also be part of this every single time. Your comments are very much much welcome in the comment section, as you can be in position to share with us your experiences. Have you ever been domestically violated or abused? And well, okay, let's get to know what are the examples of domestic violence. Like I said, people are like, domestic violence is when they beat you up, is when they burn you with water. But let us get to know, just like Pastor said, that they can violate the way you behave. Maybe you can be sexually violated or abused, like in any way. So let him explain to us what are those specific examples of domestic violence.
Well, domestic violence examples have already been laid out, some of them. The predominant one, which are common, are those when the person's body has been abused, either by beating, strangling, burning, or cutting. That is physical.
Yeah.
But if someone locked you out of the house and did not open for you, whether man or woman, and you've come back home and someone said you will not enter here, that may not be physical, but it's a psychological torture. When you are outside of your own house and you can't enter, a man is saying you are not entering here. Psychological violence domestically. Nagenzo okukola nkumyewo ekintu isizaayo tokimanyi. Naye you want me to explain before I enter. So that kind of thing is not physical, although it could lead to a physical violence, but it is psychological.
Okay.
Now, I also want to mention another one. For example, omuntu akumye emmere weeri tagikuwadde. You begin thinking, emmere weeri ganti, can't you serve yourself? You say, can I serve myself? So look, when I try to serve myself, you say, but Nangi, you are also greedy. I was planning for you. I am now talking about if it's the woman, the wife to a husband. He's saying, well, you can serve yourself. Don't you have hands? That is not really physically abusing you, but it brings you down. Your self-esteem is brought down. So emotionally, you begin bleeding. So the emotional bleeding comes even when someone is supposed to give you but upgrades the right that you deserve, chooses to withhold it and withdraw it. I know of a case because being in this ministry, I have met men and women, but I know of a woman who one time told the children and say, you are asking me for books. Go and talk to your father. I am the one who bought the food. Now, when someone says, quickly in the eyes of the child, she begins looking at, okay, who is more important here? Is it the mother? If someone's soul food is eaten or is even actually spoiled, someone has no ability to say, Nzeta atawano.
Okay.
And you know, someone, your fatherhood or your motherhood, if the mother hears that the father is abusing the children and is actually saying that you are a very replica of your mother, that means the mother who hears that is not physically abused. She's emotionally and psychologically tortured. Before we can talk about all of these other common ones, the sexual, the physical beating, the corporal punishments, and what have you, even a mere statement whereby you bring down someone, you lower them, you actually, they call it stealing someone's soul food. You do not help them to realize their fullest potential. Why? Because you want to bring them down.
Wow.
Even if you're a worker, and when you bring me water, and I simply say, what type of water have you brought? What glass is this? You are stupid. That word alone, the abuse, is not really physically inflicting pain. Psychologically, it tortures you. And those ones are the ones that usually bring a lot of dust and continue to perpetrate domestic violence.
Wow. Just like I told you earlier that we've had women come out. For them, they speak, yeah? For them, they go to their, are they organizations? We see the feeders and all that. Eh? And then different people would come out to help out that lady. But believe me or not, there are men that have been domestically violated in one way or the other. And for them, maybe they do not get a chance to come out and speak out, because someone will be like, ha, kati oli musajja kigwega omukazi akutuntuza ekiro, omukazi akummaatya emmere, omukazi akummaatya amazzi g'okunaaba, ng'ennyumba yiyo mpozi nga baakuwasa. So they fear to come and speak out. We've seen men that get married and then they stop doing what they used to do. They will stop going, hanging out. They will stop, maybe if watching football, they will stop. They will stop almost everything. And if you ask them, munango mchala tabyagala, munango mchala bwechiti ne bwechiti. So we like, is it also part of domestic violence? But anyway, I want to go to Pr Ndyanabo and ask him his experience. Just like he told, he's a pastor, a counselor, and is one of the overseers of the full gospel churches of Uganda. I believe that he has experiences with around people that he does counseling for. Tagala tubolire, how is it there? Do we have cases of men complaining of such issues of domestic violence?
Yeah, it's very, very true. However, let our viewers realize that we live in a patriarchal society whereby men are supposed to be mencho. They must be the niggers. They must suffer silently. They must prove they are brave. They should not cry. They are called cowboys. So they say never die. Even when they die, they know they are dead. They never rot, yes, never vunda. So men have grown up to be told, when you're suffering, don't cry like women. And there is a statement that says, nywera masajja, nywera masajja, oba guma masajja. Even when women have got to do something of a brave nature, they will say, nange nenegumya masajja. But she's a woman, but she says, ajja kwegumya masajja. Now, that one makes a difference. When a woman is suffering and she cries, the world will quickly come to her rescue. When a woman is crying and is being marginalized, there are many organizations, you mentioned some of them. The mothers will come, the brothers will come, the sisters will come, FIDA will come, the legal teams will come. They want to help the woman. Why? By the way, maybe it's because she's known as the weaker vessel. I'm not so sure. But vulnerable. If she is vulnerable. But you see, if a woman does that and he gets attraction, a man fears, if I began crying, people are going to think my manhood is a little bit below the average or somewhere there. Let me stand in Famasajja. And so they are quiet. But now those ones who are able to come out when things have come tough, and the heat is unbearable. They have shown that really also men suffer domestic violence. How? A man might be in a home, but the manager of a home is the woman. If you brought someone home and your wife has not agreed, you will suffer for it. And that person will suffer. Even if it's your mother or your father, and you have not actually found peace with her. Can I come? And you see, men will say, okay, they fold their hands, and their fathers are suffering in the village or they're in the hospital because the wives have said, Tajawan. And that is, for men, I'm not saying for all men, for men, they suffer silent and so on. And you see, they would like to see their mothers, their aunties being helped here in home. But the manager of the home has actually blocked the entrance.
You can even see it abaganda bomuchala babe waka nenga bomusajja tosobola balabao.
Obaleetawo nga teyakkiriza babajja kulyaka kanja. I'm not saying all families, but I'm saying that is a form of a domestic violence, a nature of a domestic violence towards men that women sometimes perpetrate. Gwatayagala tajja kuyingira. Gwayagala ajja kuyingira. Gwatayagala ajja kulya ne ku keeke. Ne sukali asembayo gwayagala amunywako. Naye gwatayagala wakira emmere bagiwa embizi ne zigirya. So many will be there say, hey, what do I do with this? So sometimes they are not beaten physically, psychologically they are tortured. You talked about people who would wish to say, kanjira mbeera gyendi. Naddayo ekanga buzibe. At one point I had I lived in Burangi some time back. And so I rented a car. I used to rent a special hire, and then I would go alone. I would drive, and I would come back in the night, maybe 10 or 10:30. The man who is supposed to drive me, he is free because I paid for the whole day. So I drive and go away. I would come back and say, Mr. So where do I find you? He say, find me at the stage. Even that night, I said, why? Why should I find you at the stage? Go home. Me, I'm coming home. He said, no way. I cannot go home during this time. Domestic violence, you sit on the roadside all day waiting for a car, yet you have a home. So that kind of violence goes on among men. Some of them are so bagumu. Bagamba but those ones also have got their own devils. When men are violated domestically, sometimes no wonder you hear of multiple women, polygamism, concubines here and there. It's because men have been kakati you add pain to injury because and then you go to another woman. So I would advise that those domestic violent lines need to be addressed, as long as they are addressed, to minimize the exits so that we can make sure we collect in the family.
Anyway, relating to polygamy or having many wives, baganda bafa abasiraamu bo bachfula official that a man is eligible to 4 wives, and they can judge you and tell you, you know what, omukazi stand stressing, you back at me, gagende wa number 2, you do this number 3 jali, you do this number 4 jali. So they're like they're in a space of I can run from trouble from one house to the other and the other. But there are those men that have been committed to one wife, and they do not have any escape route, like till death do us apart. You can't sleep elsewhere. You can't go to your mommy's house and sleep there. You can't sleep at a friend's place because they'll be like, hey, you're a married man, why do sleepovers that are unnecessary? Does even your wife know? So you'll end up going back home, suffocating all the time in that home. So Pastor, let us get to know, if a man experiences such, if they get domestically violated, what are some of the implications towards their ego and even their esteem?
Okay, a lot happens. Talking about their eagerness, self-esteem, a lot happens. They feel bad, they feel marginalized, they feel they're not men enough. Sometimes they're asked to do things and they are compared to others. At the end of the day, they feel so bad. Now, but one would want to also know what should be the remedies to be able to, because I know if men are marginalized, they behave in different sorts of ways.
True.
You talked about our neighbors, the Muslims. The Muslims are quiet, but they are also suffering. The fact of multiplying, you say, let me multiply to find peace. You don't. You are postponing peace. You are saying, let me spread the risk, but you still have the risk. You see, it's like when you say, I am not able to drive a car, like with just a simple car. So usually, they want to think they have solved the problem. That's not a solution. It's a multiplication of the problem. So the remedy would be, can we talk about, I want to appreciate this program for now. Maybe someone is borrowing a leaf. If domestic violence is happening, are there people we can run to help? If we cannot talk over it, the man and the woman, they are not able to talk over it, discuss it, and solve and crack that bone. If they can't, are there people who can be talked to? For example, the spiritual leaders. I am even here wanting to say that, you see, now that the churches are not operating in their normal sense, because there are people out there, people who used to go in church, in places of worship, and they have their souls washed. The word is preached. Some of these pains are actually addressed. Now it is quiet. What is happening there? ebikere biri nyenju. So I would ask even the government, that people who are in power, to remember that, you know what, domestic violence is actually multiplying while the spiritual leadership and operations are actually dormant because of whatever is happening in the world. But there should be an opportunity, a room to open, so that people who are domestically violated can be able to find a place to go to and talk about those issues. When you talk about an issue, people are prayed for, people are counseled, people are given gems of wisdom, and they are able to manage their houses and their homes. So domestic violence is on the rise because a lot of the mitigating factors, including spiritual places of worship and meeting with people, are actually closed for now. But I know it's more than just a periodical or an episode that we are going through. There are many others that have happened even before the churches were closed down. So, but there's need to talk about it and find remedy from outside.
Okay, thank you so much. Pastor is still watching the Ben Live, and I would still remind you, kindly make it a point to subscribe to our channel. And if you're new here, just make it a point to make this place your home and feel at home. It's just getting better and very interesting. Domestic violence. Have you ever been violated? Oli muchala is suffocating in a marriage. Oli mwami is suffocating in a marriage. Of course, today we want to come up with solutions of how best. Do not run away from your homes, yeah, but I think Pastor has ways. Zagendo tugamba, and if you go through this, these are some of the technical solutions, because at the end of the day we need solutions that are practical, yeah, that are practical. If you do watch news on TV, there will be telling stories, ono mchala yatemye mwami we, ono mwami yakoze kino, ono yakoze kino, ono, and tebinyuma, not at all. You be like, is this the country I'm living in? Uganda eganye, no teganye. Or even you be like, I'll never get married. I can't be confined in a house with the same person years after years. But well, you're not going to get out of that marriage, because for better for worse, till death do us apart. That's what they usually say. Abagenzeeko mu nsonga ezo. Netagala musumba atubulire, how can people survive the fire, jetuyita fire, jetutamanya that if he moves out of the gate, he's the best man. If he comes into the house, he's something else. Taina will get it, or he can't speak out. And we've seen most of them come to the societies or to the communities. Nga banyivu. Omukolako akantu katono n'akutabukira, yeah? We've seen a lot of defense mechanisms, abantu ze bakozesa, a lot of projections, a lot of displacements, interject projecting obusungu obuvudde waka buteekeri, displacing the hunger from work. So all those defense mechanisms that kozesa as Stalin knows, there have never been the solutions to whatever we are going through. Neka tugende wa musomba, we need those practical solutions.
Well, thank you, Gift. When we look at what is happening, we begin thinking, you know, when we talk about counselors, they are traditional counselors, they are spiritual counselors, they are professional counselors. Now, I classify this. So traditionally, from whichever family we come from, there is a group of people who usually advise. Some of them are called the uncles, others are called the singers. And now people usually ask, like whether it's a man or woman, traditional counseling systems still exist. And we don't want to demonize them, as long as they are trying to help us to see the social graces that we have to be able to live peacefully within our homes. I am only talking about those on that do not bring in any other gods, but those that continue to show you people that a human being must not be treated like an animal. They have their rights and they need to be protected. There are spiritual counselors, the people who are biblical counselors who know what the Bible says about life, about marriage, about anger, about troubles, about luck. You know, they can always help. Therefore, I would advise that when and if something of that nature happens in a certain form, if you have not been able to find help or remedy from those ones that are your relatives, who mean something good to you. Much of the relatives tell us quickly, funayo mulala. That is very easy for them. Now, in the church, it will be a different one.
Yeah.
They will tell you, no, genda ogogole oluzi lwo nga tonaba kuluza kukima amazzi ku lugogole. Kubanga kyangu nnyo okumala okwonoona oluzi lwo wano ng'oli mukyala oba oli mwami. And then you end up wanting to say, let me go ku lwa muliraanwa. Let me fetch the. Ate ogobe gali onooneka, what will you do? So it's wise that you also go to the church that will tell us the biblical counseling. And then finally, if you think you need help, you also go to the professional people who are counseling. They can help to mitigate that. Before we go to court, before we go to police, I know police also has got a department for domestic issues.
Yes.
Children, wives and husbands, they have that one. But you know, for them, they will help you verbally. When you refuse, they incarcerate you. They put you in prison. But you see, we don't want to go that far.
Yeah.
Let us make their work easy by doing it the right way. So seek help. I hear people say that maumivu ikizidi, you can try at home. Maumivu ikizidi umone daktari. If the pain persists, go and see a medical worker.
Yeah.
So we need to find people who can help us when we have failed. And all of us may lose objectivity. If I'm the husband, when my wife talks, I feel like she's talking rubbish. I can't listen. If I'm the wife, when the husband talks, he's talking nonsense. And what happens? You draw.
Yeah.
So what do we need? We need to find people who can help us.
Okay, that's an interesting one. There is this one. It's not the only big issue that we have, but it's one of those intriguing factors, a big risk factor. Pastor Jatantenga yogerako eyobwavu, yeah, poverty. During lockdown, most of us have not been working. Like up to date, there are people that have not yet started working, and it's just survival for the fittest, you know. You can never have the normal meals you used to have. You can never put on the way you used to put on. Like everything is that's if you have that faith at the back of your mind that let's wait on God. But there are those families who do not even have such a faith that let's wait on God, things will get better. So omusajja omwami takola, omukyala takola, abana tebali ku ssomero, they're just looking at each other. And as a wife, I would expect you as a man, do something. Yeah, you're a provider, do something. And then you're telling me sirina sente. And in your mind you're like neta chiraba nti sirina sente. Omukyala ogamba oba ino batoyina, you have to provide.
Right.
And that alone eretedde amaka mangi okusasika. Yeah, omukyala n'agamba kanvira ono omusajja talina na future. I didn't know that he can't even reason out things that he's never prepared for the babita bati obuseera ebyakazigizigi. So what do you think, what should you tell such families, abantu abali mu mbeera eyo ng'agamba I think I'm about to move out of this marriage, or being that a man cannot be able to provide enough, and because of the finances, zireeta obusungu, zireeta I used to tell someone, me I would want someone that has money. And then they were like, hey, you money-minded. I'm like, not that. But sometimes if money, keeping other factors constant, but if money is there, you know, you have your money in your pocket, you don't have a single coin. But money if is there, then just do for us a wrap-up and speak to such a person.
I want to thank you, Gift, for that question. If time had permitted, we would have gone a little further. But now, for a wrap-up. In my view, I know that two are better than one. It is true that people have got different roles and responsibilities in marriage. If you're out there and you thought maybe because of lack of food, lack of money, lack of rent, lack of water, lack of everything, you feel you want to eject, you want to get out. I would encourage you to remember, you are two people. It takes two to tango. You and you working together as husband and wife. I know men must do what they have done. There are men who are negligent. They must do what they know how to do. But there are times when they are actually also limited of options. They have no options to follow. So it would be wise for that woman or that man who are living together as husband and wife to begin thinking about how do we work it together than thinking how do I find myself out of this. It's not better out. It's better when you work together down here and you are able to solve our problems together. It's very, very important that it's not the time to quit, it's the time to stand.
Yeah.
It's not a time to run away, it's a time to really clasp your hands together, bring your talents, bring your skills, and work as a team to be able to overcome. It does not have a magical button to push. It's not even good for you to run away. It's better you stand and be able to encourage each other. Two are better than one. I remember a gentleman, as I close this for now, a gentleman was called Moses, who was running away, not really running away, but he was going to the mission God had called him to go and work, deliver the Israelites from Egypt. But along the way, he was almost dying. And the woman Zipporah, who said, I think I need to do something here, got a stone. There was no knife, there was no jirita, tewali kamwano, n'akomola abaana, musajja n'awona. I think we need women who can still work in this way. When they say omusajja bimusobyeko nkole ntya kati yimirirawo okole ekirungi, you will be a happy person as they talk at your husband, talk about your husband as a victor, as a conqueror, a man who has stood with you. And ate kikola bwe amala okukuyamba musajja gwe ate n'omala okumwefuulira mpulira abakazi bambe abakaba nti nayimirirawo kululwe naye olwamala okutereera ate n'asambisa ebigere. So may God help us to balance the thing.
Well, thank you so much, Musumba. And well, we've all wanted successful people. Yeah, you'll be like, your guy, your muchalo. We want successful people, but being successful doesn't just come just like that. It takes a lot of hard work. It will need you to dream big and think big. It will need you to be persistent. It will need you to persevere. It will need you to be patient in all circumstances. Tewali mbeera ya lobeerera. Ngenda kuba nsaba pastor waffe abenga ate atusiibula n'okubuuzaako n'okutumira omukyala we, then we shall get out.
Wow, what a privilege to have been able to share with you, our dear viewers. Wonna gye muli mbaagala nnyo. I want to say thank you for tuning in, and in particular to this very program. I want to thank the team that has worked with me. I'm talking about Gift. You have done so well to help us go through this. And Brother Mayanja, Dan, I am so happy. You people have done a great job. But I also want to send my greetings to the body of Christ, including, but starting with my family. Because you're talking about domestic violence. Let me start with my domestic capital. So, mchara wange Ruthi, Ndyanabo, our children and our grandchildren, mwenna gye muli, mikwano gyaffe and our fellow ministers in the kingdom ministry. I want to say thank you for listening, for tuning in. May God bless you and continue working together. We win together and we lose together. Let us win as a team. And God bless you.
Amen. We are a winning team. If you're watching this, you are part of a winning team. Yeah, I remain Gift Nakainga. Don't forget to subscribe and also go onto our Facebook page, which has been live, and be able to like the page and also share it. You know, a lot is coming up. Just be expectant. We have a lot for you, and keep it a point to hit the notification bell that every time we come up with something, you are able to be the first person to watch it. Your comments are very welcome under the comment section, and give us feedback here. Feedback would be a nice thing for us. Yes, so till next time, I remain Gift Nakainga. See you.